Hola, everybody. I'm. I didn't even change. I'm wearing the same stuff that I wore at work today. Um, so the local crawling clubs are having an event this Sunday, and I'm going to go to it. So is my son. So Emerson and I are going to go travel about 30 miles south for a crawling event. Probably some of the guys that'll be on here tonight will know about it and hear that and be like, "Oh crap!" Hopefully, but whatever. So I'm just gonna be doing some crawling prep tonight. There's no real. We got club race on Saturday, but both my kid and I's cars are good from the Team Associated Reedy Summer Series, and I got done building my SCX-10-3. I just have to get some footage of it, and I'll be building. I'll be putting together kind of a build video. I know I'm a little late to the party on that one, but I found a lot of weird stuff. So I get to talk about that, so that's good. And yeah, we got racing on Friday, Family Friday Off-Road tomorrow night. So I think I'm going to get to the track a little early tomorrow, probably about 11 or so, and fill in some potholes, water the track, and just get ready for a solid weekend of racing again. And then I get a Sunday off, and I get to go travel down and go compete in a crawler event. So I got a blown out shock because I think I missed an O-ring or something when I built this. So I'm going to be fixing this guy. There's a couple linkages that are a little loose, so I've got some new linkage parts, and we should be good. So getting ready for a pretty fun weekend all the way around. I already replaced my steering servo with a new one. I got a Reefs RC 444, 444 ounces of torque, all metal case. My servo that I had in there was a Savix 1210 SG, and it was starting to get a little tired. So I figured I'd change it out, try something different. So yuck. I've been slowly getting caught up on all my projects that I've been wanting to get done. Finally made some room behind me here. I sold my my monster truck on eBay. Sent it off to California. No, Las Vegas. I sent it to Las Vegas. And got this brand new SCX-10-3. And gonna put some upgrades on the store crawler tomorrow. So Emerson will have a good truck to run at this event. And then should be pretty caught up with everything. My touring car's running good. Got a new body for it. My off-road cars are running good. I got a good motor in my four-wheel drive. Things are just kind of mellowed out so far this summer finally. Kind of in that mode now where I want to get done with all the door prize stuff for the Team Associated and Reedy Summer Series. Got a hold of Team Associated, went back in some email chats, and looks like our grand prizes should be good to go. I'm starting to contact companies now for door prizes. I'm kind of like kind of hoping the pandemic thing doesn't hurt that, because we have a pretty good record of getting a lot of stuff for giveaways. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it won't be that bad. Hopefully we can get the same amount of stuff we always get, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, definitely blown this shock out. I think my guess is that the bottom cap probably doesn't have an O-ring in it. So it's basically empty. And I was actually having some trouble crawling over some stuff that I normally would think I shouldn't have trouble on Tuesdays or Tuesday night crawler. Not sure what to call it. Like I want to call it $10 Tuesday because it's $10 for crawling and to use the track, or vice versa, or whatever. But I don't know if that's original enough. Like, so I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I was having some trouble getting over some stuff, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I looked down, and my you can see oil all over the place. So definitely had some sort of issue that we're going to try to get cleaned up. A buggy servo. So Michael Root's on here saying, cool crawler, got my CR12 duplex. I think Cameron was trying to work on it today. I think I saw him doing that. A couple guys still asking, or were asking before I answered it, about the Fridays. Yes, we're definitely Family Friday Off-Road. And man, we've had such good turnouts this year on both Fridays and Saturdays. Friday nights for me, if we get, 2 or 3 heats of Plex spec, whatever happens after that doesn't really bother me. If we get, a couple of heats of buggies or whatever, great. If we don't, that's fine. As long as there's some noobs there running Plex spec, then it doesn't really matter to me. That's a successful night. And then Saturdays, of course, have been really good. This week, I think we'll still have a good turnout, even though, last Saturday during the summer series, we had 191 entries, which is a lot. And a lot of times there's kind of a hangover from races like that where, maybe somebody might just decide to kind of take the day off because they put so much into the summer series race. So we'll see. I bet you we still have 40, 50 entries, and that'd be perfectly fine. I would have no problem with that at all. We've had such a good summer, and I really don't see it ending anytime soon. So I got these factory team shocks, and you can see there's no oil in these whatsoever. So we're gonna. Daniel Bender's on here. He says a buggy servo, more speed or more torque. Yeah, there's no O-ring in there to hold that in place. So generally speaking, buggy guys like a really fast servo. You can get away with a little bit more torque if you get the right servo. So one of my favorites, let's see if I can find it here, guys. It's one of my favorite servos. Is the ProTech 160T. See if I can remember the specs. It's 278 ounces of torque or something like that, with a transit speed of 0.08. So it's a fast servo, but it's also a very strong servo. It's also kind of a shorty case servo. They make a 160S, but it has less speed. I'm sorry, it's got way more speed, like 0.06, something crazy like that, but a little less torque. For me, 0.08 is really fast anyways. So why would you, for the same price, why would you not take the torque with the 160T? So I pretty much use this servo in all of my racing cars, my my 4-wheel drive, my 2-wheel drive, Emerson's 2-wheel drive. I've got one of these in my touring car. I've used this in my my VT64 truck when I had it. This makes a halfway decent throttle servo. If you're going to use 8 scale, I wouldn't use it as steering. Got to get something bigger for 8 scale, of course. But for a little less money, you can get a Savix like 1257 or 1258. Those are fast to make a Cavalieri edition. I think they're like $70, somewhere in there. There's a really good MKS servo that's $100. That's kind of the same deal. It's like a shorty, kind of a shorty case, and it's pretty fast and strong. But best bang for your buck, in my opinion. And full disclosure, not sponsored by anybody. My only sponsor that I want to have is J Concepts, and but everything else, electronic wise, car wise, all that, I've chosen to be privateer because I want to drive stuff that I'm confident in, not stuff that I have to drive. So that's why I like using this servo. Really, ever since Hobbytown and AMA kind of connected, and we got access to this stuff. It's kind of been my go-to servo. So my crawling stuff, I kind of use different. Right now I'm using the reefs in both trucks. But I've used a Savix in my crawler before, and in our 8 scale, I think Emerson was running the 22, what is that number? 2210 or something like that from Savix for steering. It was like 400 something ounces of torque, high voltage. That's the other thing about these is this is a high voltage servo, so you don't need any sort of voltage regulator separate. So there you go. We got one question asking about more torque, more speed, and you get a spiel from me about servos. So I always like to have a couple backups when one gets kind of tired or worn down. I'll usually buy a gear set or something and replace it. Anywho, so back to the shock that we're going to fix. So we're going to open this guy up. And want to show you guys my new crawler, though, the Axial SCX-10-3. It was an entertaining build, lots of stuff popping up. I really haven't looked at any, any forums or anything like that on the SCX-10-3 kit. So I don't know if the stuff that I found in the build has already been mentioned out there, but yeah, it's not bad. Just a lot of stuff a couple things in the instruction manual weren't quite proofread here and there. So that'll make a good video when I get done with it. So I'm thinking, since I got them anyways, I think I'm going to replace all the O-rings in this shock, this Kashima coated crawling shock. And Daniel asked if I put rebound in my shocks. So I don't know. Not really. I usually build my shocks kind of dead. With a crawler, I definitely build them dead because I basically want a full droop kind of setup. In my cars, I guess you could say I build them dead as well. No real rebound. When I bleed them, you're kind of getting rid of that rebound that builds up from the pressure and stuff. And yeah, So no, not really. Rebound was something I used to do on my Losi car, Losi 8-scale buggy when I had that, and we were using bladders. When we went to the I'm gonna just reuse these. These are fine. When we started doing the emulsion stuff, I think I started building them dead there too in 8-scale. So yeah. So I think what happened with the shock is that it did not have this little O-ring on the bottom. So these are supposed to have an O-ring right here on the very bottom of this guy. And I think, weird, it's too big. Maybe not. It looked like it. I don't know why this shock's blowing out. There should be, thought there was an O-ring right there. I'm gonna look at another one. I'm gonna take both mine off here in the front, just to make sure. I got these new wheels for my truck. They are, yeah, there you go. Kind of a flat red. Kind of want that on my real truck. I think that would look cool. So I plan on running these tires and wheels in both my my C2 and my C3 rig. So I'm going to run my axial, my new axial truck, in C3. And the reason why is because it's got a dig, right? So I'm going to use it, but look at that. That's going to look cool. That red and white. That's going to look pretty awesome. That's supposed to be my trail truck, so it's supposed to be kind of more realistic, I guess, than what I'm running here. This is more of my just kind of a straight up, scale crawler. Works really good at the Plex on the rocks and all that man-made stuff that we got going on there. That truck kind of built it to be more of my, go out in the bike trails and drive kind of thing. But we'll see. Maybe it'll surprise me and work really well with some good tires on it. So let's set that off to the side because I just want to see if I'm missing anything or if I'm just really bad at building shocks. I don't think I am, but I might. I have bladders in my shocks, so should I put rebound in my shocks? So yeah, so what I would do is I would build your shocks one way with rebound, right? And go drive it. And then I would rebuild your shocks and try it with no rebound and see which one you like better. So like I saw your practicing on Friday, right, during the summer series. So that's kind of what you're going to see. Will and Mac and Tom Rindernecht. You're going to kind of see those guys playing with stuff on a practice night, at the same time probably trying to break in their tires too, but you're going to see them messing around with that stuff. So that's a good time to do it, right? Or, get to the track as early as possible on a Friday for Family Friday Off-Road, and try it then. You should give yourself about an hour, right? Like come there with your shocks built in rebound, go practice, bring them back in, take them off, rebuild them, try it with no rebound, and then see which one you like better. That is what I would do. So this guy has no O-ring either. I could have swore that there was going to be an O-ring there. So I wonder, maybe it is just the little O-ring. So I'm definitely going to replace those now. So these seem fine. They still have good. See, this is a dead shock, right? But it definitely has oil in there. So okay, we're going to clean this off. And we're definitely going to just replace the O-rings in there. I think when I ran my 8-scale, my Losi car a long time ago, maybe the 2.0 version, I think I ran like full rebound in the car. The thing about that back then was, and I think kind of why they went to emulsion shocks, is that that got inconsistent. So like you could have one shock with full rebound and then your other shock with half rebound, and this shock over here would have no rebound after a period of time. I think that's kind of why they went to the emulsion style. One of the reasons why. Plus, shocks build up heat. From going up and down, all that. There's very little friction, but it's still there. We're always trying to just get the most consistent feeling shock. So, okay, well, shoot. So I am going to take these guys out of there. And put in new ones. Might as well, right, since I have them. The name of where we get our Traxxas parts. Well, I mean, we Traxxas is our own dealer now, so there's no distributor for Traxxas. So we get everything from Traxxas direct. If you're asking about like a hobby shop, if you're local, right, to Omaha, Nebraska, I would just tell you to come to the Plex because we usually have just about everything. If you're not local, I would say probably hobbytown.com or amain.com would be your best two bets. Be aware, there's a lot of stuff out of stock right now. A lot of stuff. I'll be right back. Well, that's a bummer. I was looking for some green slime, and I don't think I have any. Hopefully that answered your question. Might not have been the answer you're looking for, but hopefully at least give it a shot. 30 weight. There it is. Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, we're at a this coronavirus thing's kind of made things tough. There's a lot of stuff on back order right now through from we're a Hobbytown USA in Omaha, Nebraska, and we order stuff from Traxxas, a couple times a week, and there's just a lot of stuff that's just not available right now. The nitro side of things actually seems to be somewhat hit harder, it seems like, than a lot of the other electronics, electric items that are out there for some reason. I don't know if it's just because they didn't quite have a large stock of nitro stuff to begin with, or if they weren't ready for the rush. We had a huge resurgence of nitro cars being sold, but also being brought in to get fixed up with all the, everybody's at home, right? And so they're starting to dig around, find stuff to do. Everybody's bringing in a lot of these older nitro cars, trying to get them running again. So I imagine if we saw that here, I imagine everywhere else was kind of in the same boat. So I think that's one reason why there's a lot of stuff that's not available at the moment. Whoa. There we go. But that being said, I still think AMain and HobbyTown.com, and I say AMain and HobbyTown.com because they're both basically the same website. HobbyTown.com might have a couple more things that AMain doesn't. AMain might have some things that HobbyTown doesn't. So, but AMain runs HobbyTown's website, sales website for us. So that's why I say both. I know, right? I got to oil this chair. It's annoying. This is actually the chair that I used to have at the track that I found because I can make it high up, right? So I'm announcing I don't like to be low. I like to be high up so I can see everything. But then when I started putting my room back together here, and I started thinking, it would be really nice to have that comfy chair in my room. So I reconfiscated my chair. So, but when I get out of it, sometimes it like goes on its own. It's kind of annoying. So I'm looking at this cap, but I can't really find anything out of the ordinary that would keep it from sealing up this this shock. So I think it actually was just the O-rings. So hopefully we'll rebuild it here and take a look at it and see what happens. We got to put some shock oil back in there. And we'll put that in there. And now we can put him through there. And then I know I've said this on here before, but if you've never seen this show, when it's on Thursdays, whenever I build a shock on here, I always kind of tell people, if you've got one of these shocks with these bottom caps, I don't like to tighten it all the way until I have the shock shaft through, because then you can kind of crank on it. And if it's still smooth, then you're good. And if it's not smooth, then something's wrong. So, but it feels good. So we'll just rebuild it and hope that it doesn't all leak out again, because that would be really annoying. So all the way to the top, it's an associated shock, right? So go in like this. And then I like to twist when they come down like that. And now you're going to see the little oil bubbles start to disappear. And I'm not too worried about waiting around for the bubbles to go away on a crawler. I mean, based on the body, I treat it like crap anyways, right? So we're just going to top it off and put your cap on there. And then we're going to squeeze. So cap's like barely on, right? And so now we're going to kind of hold it to the side and squeeze up a little bit. Oil comes out. Shock is bled. And what you don't want is any resistance, right? So you want to be able to press a shock all the way up, and it might come out a little bit, but if you press it and you've got a lot of resistance, say like right here, then you have to open that top cap up and bleed out a little bit more. Just means that there's a big old thing of air in there. So that feels good. Doesn't look like it's leaking out all over the place. Not quite sure what happened. It's got brand new O-rings in it, so we'll put it back on. And then we'll start looking at our linkages. I'm going to bring some extra linkages to this event on Sunday. Just I'm trying to think of things that we could break since there's no hobby shop near there, right? So we're gonna tighten her up. I got these Samix or Samix, I don't know how to pronounce it, brass shot cups, which is pretty awesome. Just a little bit more weight lower right here, but they don't, what's cool about them is that they're not like a normal shot cup, you know, where you can pull it back and pull it out and change your shocks. If you want to change these springs, you got to take your shock all the way off, because you have to take the shock end all the way off, and then they just kind of snap in there. But it also, like I said, it adds a little bit more weight, nice and low. And I like weight in the front of my truck especially. So Cole's on here. The new truck is good. Actually haven't driven it yet. I meant to drive it today, and when I woke up, it was raining hard, and I had to be to work at noon, and it was still raining, so I didn't get a chance to drive the truck in the morning. And then I was supposed to be off at 7:30, but we had this thing where if you're busy, when it says you're off, you're actually kind of required to stay. So I stayed and helped everybody till it was 8 o'clock, and then I just want to come home. So I didn't get a chance to drive it yet. So maybe tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Hopefully tomorrow. I need to get some footage of it because I'm doing a video on the build, and I want to get some good video of it driving on our course out there, so I can hurry up and post this thing now that I'm done. I don't know who proofread that instruction manual, though. Not saying they need to be fired, but like they need to like reevaluate. Whoops, that was dumb. This is my Enduro. I love this truck. This truck's so awesome. I started thinking about all the stuff that I've done to this thing. There's really not much else for me to do to it. I was thinking about getting these hot racing gears for the transmission that give it even more overdrive. I think that'd be kind of cool. And then I guess metal drive shafts, since I'm still using plastic ones, but I've never had a plastic one break on me. So hopefully I didn't just jinx myself for this weekend. That'd be bad. And we're going to put the bottom on here. And I think I just got rid of a spacer that I probably need. That was brilliant. So I had these, I kind of had to like mess with the geometry a little bit and space these shocks a certain way. But now that I'm looking at them, I don't actually think I need to do that. So I think I'm going to take these off. I also have brass bushings on here to give just a little bit more weight, nice and low. I have brass shock mounts on the axle. Same deal, just trying to give it a little bit of weight. Brass hexes. I got the SSD brass knuckles. That was a pretty good upgrade. And we're actually out of them. But I got these way back in March. I was really trying to get the weight off of the actual rim and more on the actual truck so that I didn't lose any wheel speed when I needed it to kick in gear. Oh yeah, those are stretched out. So these linkages, they got rough, really rough. So we're definitely going to be replacing those tonight. This might be kind of a short one because I'm kind of tired. I had another night where Star Trek: The Next Generation is on BBC on our TV, and I'm a sucker for Star Trek: The Next Generation episodes. So whenever they're on, it's full of member berries. So I like to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation when I can. It used to be on Netflix, and that was great because anytime I just, it's kind of like watching the season finale of Breaking Bad. Like anytime that you just want a good show to watch, that was always kind of my go-to TV series. And those episodes of Star Trek, they really hold up, I think. God, I think they could have like a reissue on regular TV, like on CBS, and I think people would watch Star Trek: The Next Generation episodes just like they were back in the 80s or whatever. Maybe not the first season, but like from the third season on. Okay. Got those back on. And like I said, I'm looking for linkage. Like some of this linkage is so stretched out that it makes the truck pretty wonky every once in a while, I've noticed. So hopefully getting this thing cleaned up a little bit before this race will be good. I got my, they're not doing scale points, of course, but I got my weighted disc brakes. I don't know if you guys can see that. Oh yeah, there you go. So thought that was pretty cool. 6 people in here, not a lot, but Did any of you guys catch the Ryan Harris part 1 of the HobbyPlex trip? He talked about that a little bit. Really does a good job of editing. I like kind of anytime that we get a chance to have our store shown off to the world, I kind of get a kick out of it. I'm waiting for part 2. So Ryan got 3rd in expert stock, and he got 2nd in 13.5 wheeler. So he did really good. Like anytime that you're going to a track that's totally different from what you're running on, it can be a struggle. So throughout the day, he just got better and better and better and better and better. We have a question. What's your question? That's what the chat's for. Ask the HobbyPlex guy a question. I have a rustler and I want to convert my rustler 4x4 into a slash. Okay. That's pretty easy to do, actually. Ugh. Not a big fan of Mountain Dew, straight Mountain Dew, but when you're trying to stay awake, that's what you got to do. Is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. So the front end and the rear end of a rustler is the exact same front end and rear end as a slash 4x4. So you would need a slash 4x4 chassis, slash 4x4 drive shaft, probably different shock towers because the not probably, you would need different shock towers so that you can use the slash body mounts, because the slash rustler uses the clip-in type and the slash does not. So you would need those shock towers, and then the body mounts, and then the bumpers. And you could even keep the same tires if you wanted to, but if you didn't want to do that, you'd get tires too. So yeah, it's possible. It's probably, it shouldn't be that hard. Just those parts, really. Trying to think if there's anything else that would jump out, but it's just that. A Rustler 4x4, take the body off. All it is a shorter version of a slash. So you should be fine. What's the most common gear to strip out in a slash VXL? Okay, so it depends. Obviously, the spur gear is probably the easiest, but if it's not that, what a lot of times happens with these VXL trucks, or anytime you're using brushless, is no problem, sir. But onto this slash VXL, the top shaft, the pin that holds the top shaft gear can break, and then that top shaft gear just spins without the top shaft actually moving. And a lot of times you can tell that that's happened because the top shaft itself is allowed to move back and forth, and so the spur gear and the slipper clutch kind of can wobble back and forth. So that's probably the second most common gear, and then of course the idler gear. But since everything went to metal gears a while back, you don't see too many idler gears going. It's usually that top shaft. The crappy thing is I have yet to find somebody that's making a machined top shaft. This was actually when we were doing the Super Slash 1000 for the Enduro last year. I was really concerned about that top shaft, because if that thing went in the middle of the race, well, I mean, that's a That's a really crappy thing to have to fix in the middle of an enduro, right? So that's why I opted for the Proline transmission, because the Proline transmission, the top shaft, is a one-piece deal. Unfortunately, that Proline top shaft can really only be used in the Proline transmission, and the Proline transmission costs like $100-something bucks. They do have a new version of it coming out too with 32 pitch gears, so that'll be really nice. But yeah, so to answer your question, it would be spur gear or possibly that top shaft pin breaking, and that would also make it have a pretty crappy noise too. So hey, 2 good questions right in a row. Yay. Yeah. So you know, I think we're actually okay here. I was a little worried about this, but oh no. Well, I don't know. I probably should change that out. Are they both easy fixes? I mean, basically, well, the spur gear is definitely going to be easier than the top shaft. Unfortunately, the top shaft, you have to take off the entire transmission. So it's the 2 screws that go through the rear shock tower, and then the 6 screws on the bottom, and then the 2 screws holding in the drive shaft pins. And you can take that whole transmission out, and then it's like 8 screws holding in the transmission. It's almost like, never mind. I was gonna make a joke, but I'm gonna get in trouble one of these days. Or I'm gonna ask for something and they're gonna be like, no, you talk crap about us all the time. So I'm not even gonna say what I was gonna say. Oh, you think you're pretty funny. My steering's a little sloppy, and it's going to bother me if I don't fix it. So we're going to take this kind of loose. We're going to take this loose rod end out, and I might even put the brass bushings in that I have, just to help tighten it up a little bit. So what I'm doing is going to take this guy off because he's kind of sloppy, and it's kind of affecting my turning a little bit. And I don't want it to stretch too much, because then if it breaks in the middle of this event we're going to go to, well, then I'll have a DNF or whatever it is. So I don't want to do that. Like, that'd be bad. So I got on my my TV over here out of frame, but one of the Come Drive With Us Silver State events that they had in Las Vegas, and kind of getting the itch to hurry up and get Emerson's truck Truggy bought and built, because November seems like a long ways off, but it really isn't. It's going to come very fast, and I want to be ready this year. Do I still have my Enduro, or did you upgrade your truck? This is my Enduro right here. This is definitely my Enduro. Still rocking the truck. It works really well. Don't really have too many complaints. I've upgraded it a lot, and I keep finding little things here and there to change. Like I said earlier, I think I kind of want those hot racing extra overdrive gears for the transmission that are metal, and eventually probably metal drive shafts. I think you can use SCX 10.2 MIPs or something like that. But I've never had one of those break on me, so it's one of those things where I haven't really worried about it that much. I did just replace the servo with a brand new one. I put a Reefs 444 in there. I had this one, the Savix 1210 SG, but got kind of tired, so this is basically just a backup now. Do you recommend silicone shock oil or just regular shock oil? I'm pretty sure all shock oil is silicone, right? I guess it doesn't say, but I could have swore that, yeah, silicone shock oil. I think it's all silicone, dude. Just pick your favorite brand and go with it, or be like me, who's obviously not an engineer, and just use whatever you can get your hands on. So a while back, I bought these one of the brass shock bushing sets, and I've been slowly replacing some of the ones that get worn away with them here. So that little brass guy going to go in here, the new one. And look, I'm actually going to use my tool for it. Maybe if I don't poke it all the way through. Oh, so there we go. We're going to take this flashing off. And you know what? We're gonna, where's my black grease at? Oh, you know what? You know, look what I get to use. I get to use my old school white Losi grease that I still have, that I found. That's made specifically for this. That'll help get that thing threaded in there. I found that the other day. It's been a while since I've been super happy by something so simple. It's kind of dumb, but whatever. Whatever makes you happy. Okay, so that's on there, and now we'll put the screw back through. This should help tighten up the steering just a little bit. The Puller Pro, that's brushless, isn't it, Cole? Pretty sure. I want to get brushless for my new truck eventually, once everything starts becoming a little bit more in stock. Okay, so we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do this. Eventually in here, you know what I want to get? I want to get a second camera, like directly overhead, so you guys can all see what I'm doing when I'm working on stuff. One day. Okay. Well, that feels a lot better. So just to show you guys, this linkage here on this right here where it meets the steering was like super sloppy. Must have gotten stretched at some point. So I just put a new bushing in there. I put a new shock eyelet in there. Not shock eyelet, rod end. And now it's nice and tight. See if there's anything else that stands out on the front end here. I think we're doing pretty good. And just want to check over, see if any of these come loose. These rod ends get pretty beat up. You know, when you're doing, you know, all the jagged rocks and stuff that the Plex has on our course, you know, You kind of, I don't know if it shows up on camera very well. Yeah, not really. But takes a beating, man. My poor brass front end here has gotten kind of beat up, but you know, whatever. So yeah, I think we're gonna be okay as long as the shock stays fresh. I'm definitely gonna take more shock oil with me. Gonna have this little box of stuff just in case I break or if Emerson breaks. We're ready to go. So that's done. And I don't know. Not much more else for me to talk about today. It's kind of weird not having like a big race or something like that to think about. We got 3 weeks off. We had what seemed like a very busy July. We had the summer series. No, we had July 4th, summer series race, TCS race, club race, or Raising Cane's Challenge. And then we had a summer series, and now we get 3 weeks of just regular everyday laid back club racing. So it's kind of nice. Yeah, see, there you go. Shock oil is silicone. There is no other option. That's what I thought. I was like, wait a minute, what else would there be? That's a good question. One that I probably shouldn't answer on here because my wife does watch these programs. But let's see. Well, it started out as a ready to run last May. And one of the first things I did was change out the servo. And this guy is $84.99. That's one reason why I got it, because it was under $100 and it was 445 ounces of torque or something like that. And my Reefs winch servo is another $100. This is a Wordy made bumper, so it was kind of expensive. It was like $40. This is an SSD bumper, so it was like $30. The speed controller is $40. The motor was $13.99, which I'm super stoked about because that's our standard price at the Plex. The shocks were $60 for the upgraded Kashima coated shocks. Oh, these Reef side rails, I think they're like $40. And then I've bought in 2 pairs of bead locks, 2 sets. So the first set were SSDs, and they're $40 a pair, but I sold them for $60, so it's fine. And then these are Vanquish machetes, brand new, and they're like $64.99 a pair. So kind of do the math. It's kind of a stupid amount of money. However, I should say that's what you guys would pay for those parts, not what I would. So I guess in that regard, I'm not going to tell you guys what I actually paid for these, but basically I manage the store, so I get a better deal on them. You work 60 hours a week at the Plex, you could probably get the same price as I do. So yeah, these Samick shock towers, I forgot about those. I think those are like $28.99. So yeah, dude, kind of a lot. It's kind of dumb. But what else are you gonna do? I don't know. It's fun. It's part of the fun. Yeah, it does add up quick. So I'm gonna tell you guys a funny story. So funny story. A guy from the World Herald came into the HobbyPlex once, and he was writing a story about RC car racing. One of the things that always bothers me about when we get these guys like news to come out or a newspaper story or something like that, they tend to focus on the price and how much this stuff costs more. That's kind of like their angle. It's always the same thing. They're like, well, how much money have you put into it, this year or whatever like that. I remember at the 2009 Nationals, we had the news come out, and when they learned that there was paid drivers that get paid to race RC cars, they couldn't believe it. And that was the lead, right? So they're going around, they were doing a story on us, on our off-road racing, and they were asking, one of the questions that they asked was, how much have you spent over your lifetime on RC cars? And I gave an honest answer, which I regretted, but I was like, I don't know, man. Like, legitimately, it's got to be like $100,000 or more, right? And that sounds totally stupid and ridiculous. And I was like, don't print that, don't print that. I don't know. This year, I was like, $1,500, right? I just wadded up a number. So this reporter guy puts in the paper, he's got like four or five different responses, and they're all like $1,000, $1,500, $200. And then they get to me with this stupid picture with my fro, $100,000, right? And I read that, and I'm just like, that's not what I want to do. So, but if you think about it, it sounds like a stupid, ridiculous number, and it kind of is, because think what I could do with that. But if you go back to 1990, right? That's 30 years ago, really. I started paying for all this stuff on my own, probably 91, 92, when I was like 14. And then I had a job, when I turned 15 and 16, working at Baker's doing carryout. Most of that went to RC cars and video games, right? So probably does add up. That probably is a legitimate number. However, I think of all the fun I've had, experiences I've had, places I've traveled to, in that number, that big stupid number, I include the travel, I include the hotel cost to go to a race, the entry fees, for all these races I went to, for all these races. So, that's probably right. There's probably quite a few people that are into RC that would rather not think about that. And but when you start to really add it up, you're like, whoa, I guess I probably did spend too much on a stupid car. But when it's this cool, what are you going to do? How else are you going to get it to be cool in the way that you want it? I don't know. So there's that. It's a funny story. Couldn't believe he printed that. I was like, dude, I look stupid compared to all these other people. I used to have friends in high school that would be like, oh my God, why do you spend that much money on all your RC cars? You're just going around in a circle. Like, just to go in a circle? That makes no sense. That's stupid. Oh my God. That's so dumb. I mean, probably. But I got to go to China, like, that would have never happened if I wasn't into RC cars. If I didn't have a hobby that drove me the way that this one does. Okay. I'm kind of exhausted from today. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. And so I think I'm going to bail. I got what I wanted to get done on my crawler done, so that's good. Got my shock fixed, at least for now. And I'll be looking forward to getting this thing out in a location that's not the HobbyPlex, so I can see how it performs somewhere where I'm not totally in charge of the grounds, I guess. So it's been about an hour. I will see you guys later. And cut this one a little short. And let's see, what do we got going on this weekend? So I should be getting this video on the SCX-10 III build I did done within the next few days. And we'll probably get some videos of the mains, for some of the mains on Saturday up. And then we'll be back with the HobbyPlex Show podcast raw on Monday at 6:30. So yeah, that's what we got going on this weekend. If I don't see you at the store or anywhere else, I'll see you here next week at 9 o'clock. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys later.